I've had to conquer many fears. I've had to face myself down, look at myself and say, what is it you're still not accepting? What is it you're still so afraid of? And now I've finally come to a point where I don't feel that afraid anymore. I feel like I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with the way I am, the things I do. And I, am more and more trying to accept other people in the way that they are and acknowledge that we can all exist together. And, I don't need to be angry. and I feel like I've been angry for most of my life. And only recently has that anger started to subside, and I've started to just be okay, just be chill, just be able to exist within myself and feel like it's fine, whatever's happening. And so lately I've been trying to spread to other people the mentality that's been helping me so much. I've been trying to help other people to see the world through the lenses that have made it easier to exist in this world for me. And there's one thing that's still difficult, that still hurts a little bit. And it's how hard it seems to be to get other people on board. Like, to get other people to look at what I'm doing and say, actually, that's cool, or like, I want to do that too, or I feel like I could learn something from this, And I feel like there was a time where I was reaching a lot of people. And then I think my process of self-discovery scared a lot of those people away. At each step, each new thing, each new endeavor, each new embark, there's always been a kind of culling effect of, I might go in a direction that some people really appreciate, and then there's always going to be some who are like, I can't follow this anymore. I can't take this any further. Or simply people find their own other thing that takes them down a different road from the one I'm going down. But what I don't know how to do is to invite more people in actively. I feel like for the last couple years, especially this past year, I've been working really hard towards the ends of getting people back, of saying like, hey, there's no reason in my mind that we should have such a strong disconnect, because I feel like I've come to terms with myself, and I'm not in this position of needing to push things out and reject things the way that I think I had been for a time. But maybe once you've already pushed something out and rejected it, it's harder to get back. It's harder to earn trust that's been broken. I think that a lot of people had their own ideas of who I was or what I was going to do. And when I didn't fulfill those ideas, then it made it harder to, sit with me on my journey, to continue embracing me as a part of your life. And there's been people who've come back into the fold. There's been new people who've entered the fold. And I feel like people tend to have really intense relationships with my content. It's not necessarily easy mode as content goes. And maybe that's the biggest thing that keeps people at bay, is that, they know getting into what I'm doing is very involved. And not everyone wants to be involved. Maybe there's just a lot of fear that I'm inevitably going to relapse into anger or relapse into, pushing people away, or lose track of the kind of thing I've been doing and go in too different of a direction. I feel like at this point, I've pretty well defined the parameters of who I am and what I sort of can do. I think that There was a time where I had put myself in a very small box. Like, I really thought that the only thing I could do is make a certain type of video about a certain type of community, and, like, there was only this little corner of the internet that I sort of belonged to. And funnily enough, now I feel like I'm just a stray. I'm not a part of a community. I'm not a part of a particular set of expectations about what happens online. There are people who follow me, and there's sort of a community around me of people who watch my videos and who've become friends with each other and who sort of established their own little world. But I'm not that hyper involved in it, like, it tends to be that people find each other through me, but they don't necessarily find me. And there's only so many people that I really connect with in that kind of way where I feel like they're keeping up with everything, And there is a decent number of those people, like maybe a couple hundred of people who pretty consistently will keep up with what I'm doing because I'm doing it, and they want to, be on the ride with me. But a lot of the times when I create something, the biggest mystery to me is, how do I get this in front of the people who need to see it? So for instance, my friend Gigadonk and I, we've got this new Dragon Quest analysis where we broke down the first Dragon Quest in this, large amount of detail, and it's got about 300 views. So that's pretty representative of all the people who I know that are anyone within my circle basically has definitely seen this thing. But how do I get it outside of that circle? And everyone who's seen this video says it's good. Everyone who sees it seems to like it, but I don't really know how to make it so everyone that I think would like it would see it. I don't know how to introduce it to new people. And I don't know what makes it so difficult. I don't know if it's that there's not a lot of people who want to investigate a new channel. I don't know if it's that there's it's if it just isn't algorithmically being pushed to Dragon Quest fans, because there's tons of content about these games coming out right now. Like, there's lots of videos that are doing decently that are talking about this game. How does mine get connected into that sphere? How do I find out if there is something wrong with it? How do I find out what it is? How do I get it in front of people who even could be critical of it? Because so far, again, everyone who's seen it likes it. I wouldn't mind if it gets seen by twice as many people. It turns out half of them hate it, as long as they told me why. But it hasn't even gotten to that opportunity. It's only been seen by people who have enjoyed it. Similarly with my new Tezuka video on the main channel. It's as broadly appealing of a video about comics, graphic novels, manga, as it could possibly be. The conceit of the video is, hey, I'm telling you the origin point of this whole medium. I'm telling you about the most influential person in this whole medium. Now, that video has over 3,000 views, which is well outside of just people who I know, just outside of, just my community. But it should be relevant to hundreds of thousands of people, just based on statistics. Why haven't hundreds of thousands of people seen it? And what would I have to do to change that? What does it take to make the people who would definitely appreciate this video see it? How much of it is my reputation being damaged? How much of it is people not wanting to share content that comes from me because of who I am? How much of it is just pure algorithm, How much of it is that my channel doesn't regularly pull numbers and therefore YouTube's not going to keep pushing it? I don't know. I really don't have the answers to these questions. And I'm not interested. I'm not interested in why it's not working. I'm interested in how to make it work. I could literally list 300 reasons why it could be that it's not working. It doesn't matter what I think the reason is. What matters is that I find the way to change it. That whatever will make it work, I have to do that. So part of my theory has been that maybe I need to make everything a little bit more recognizable. My brother told me that he had seen this Tezuka video in his feed, and he just didn't assume that it would be like an edited analysis video. And I think that has more to do with it being that he knows me and knows that that's not always what I do, than it has to do with, you know, seeing that title and thumbnail and then making that assumption. Like, I think if that had been a channel he'd never heard of, he would have been more likely to click on it, because he's not assuming that it could be some kind of vlog or some kind of music video, you know? And I think that at the very least, keeping it so that the main channel is a certain type of video that people want and expect, and then splitting off that other kind of video to another kind of channel, like it was in the beginning, might be a great idea. And so this channel, which was originally Digibrony After Dark, then Digibro After Dark, then it became Branches of Yig when I had changed my main channel's name to Yig Studio. I'm calling it Trixie Takes the Square now, because I don't really record After Dark, so calling it After Dark would be silly. But conceptually, it's the odds and ends channel. YouTube has made it recently way easier to have multiple channels, because they've incorporated this deal where you can mark a video as belonging to multiple channels. So now that I think about it, that might help the Dragon Quest video if I had thought to, you know, mark it as a collaboration between my channel, Giga's channel, and the Slime Dolls channel that it's actually uploaded to, which now that I'm thinking about that, I'm definitely going to, you know, post hoc do that. I don't know if it'll help at this point, but I might as well for good practice. But like, you know, that's just one random thing that could maybe be done to maybe help. But I just don't really know. Like, again, little things I don't think are the answer. Like little tips and tricks, little YouTube, whatever, like, you know, like fixins. I don't think that's the kind of stuff that's going to make this all pop off again. I think there's something missing, and I don't really know what it is. I don't know what is missing that's disconnecting me from the people who should be seeing my content. And again, I'm less interested in why isn't it working than I am in what would make it work. What is it that, you know, that everyone else is doing that is bringing attention that I'm not doing, and therefore not bringing attention? Or is it just me? Am I just blacklisted, you know, in the hearts and minds of people? I don't really know. But that's what I made this video for, is to reintroduce you to a grand narrative of sorts, in that, you know, I've got things that are happening that I want everyone to know and to see happening. You know, I want people to see that Tezuka video because I want to sequelize it. You know, I see it as sort of a ground floor of a narrative of this is how graphic novels and manga started. And so if we're going to tell the story of graphic novels and manga, we need to move from that point forward, right? So my next video will be sort of a direct sequel. But what I'm afraid of is that video only had 3,000 views, and the sequel might have even less, you know? Or if it had more, it won't translate to people going back and watching the start. And so there's a part of me that says, like, don't even make the next one until you've figured out how to make that one pop, you know? How do I get that video more attention? Is it a thumbnail problem? Is it a, needs to be shared more problem? And same with Dragon Quest. Like, our plan is to continue that series through Dragon Quest 2, through Final Fantasy. Like, I would love it if there was already a lot of anticipation before we went and made the next part of that. And I know part of this must be fear, at least from like fans of mine, that I won't complete a series, because there's been plenty of times I haven't completed a series. And there's also plenty of series I'd like to go back to and finish up, or just continue because they were well liked. But again, I'm constantly worried that I'm going to put one of these things out there, it's just not going to make any impact. So let me know what you think I need to do to get more attention onto my Tezuka video, to get more attention onto the Dragon Quest video, to get more attention in general. And if you like this, let me know in the comments. Apparently comments super matter to the algorithm now. You'd think that would be a huge plus for me. So, all right, I've kind of run out of things to say. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Trixie Takes the Square. Peace.